Welcome, Exiles and fellow adventurers. I am Mucho M, and welcome to my whole new series, PvE from A to Z. Path of Exile has a ton of different active skills. However, how many of them are actually viable to build around? My mission is to try out every single skill in Path of Exile and put them to the ultimate test, beating a pinnacle boss in solo self-found mode. Solo self-found means no outside help in-game, no trading, no handouts, just me and the gear I find or craft along the way. The goal for each character and skill is to face and defeat one of the many pinnacle bosses that Path of Exile has to offer. Now, the ground rules of the challenge is: the skill that will be used should be dealing the most damage of all the skills. Everything will be done in solo self-found, where all the characters have been migrated to ensure that each single character has to grind for maps, items, and wheels, and so on. So with that said, let's begin. Now, first on the list is Absolution. Lucky for me, Absolution is one of the few skills that I've played before. So here I actually do have some minor knowledge on how to progress with it. For this character, I think I will mainly follow Criparian's Absolution build that he made back in 3.18, with some minor edits on my side. The link to his build and YouTube video you can find in the description below. Okay, let's see. We'll go SSF, and we'll call ourselves A to C Absolution. Now, first off, of course, we get the Fireball from the Twilight Strand. We link it to Arcane Surge before we defeat Hillock. From the Hillock reward, I picked up Freezing Pulse and swapped that with Fireball. After that, I progressed through and found Hail Ray. After killing Hailrake, I was rewarded with the Summon Phantasm support. Now, this will remain as one of our support skills for the remainder of this character, so it's nice to pick up early. I also picked up Summon Raging Spirits as the main DPS dealer, Frostblink so that we can have some movement skill, and I also bought Raise Zombies because we are now a mini build. While we have a lot of skills so far, we had to try to cram in Holy Flame Totem and Firewall as well. Now, these two will give us a lot of damage during Act 1 and will still help us out in Act 2. After that, it was straight to Brutus and killing him off.
My creation, Brute.
After killing Brutus, I picked up Combustion to link it with Holy Flame Totem to get some extra damage. And I also picked up Infernal Legion for the Summon Raging Spirits. If I could afford it, I would have also bought added lightning damage support. However, I could not afford it at this point, so I'll have to buy it later. So while leveling in Act 1, I even got a sweet ass leather belt. And then I headed straight to Mervale. Before Mervale, I had no fire resistance, but I had 43% cold resistance and 334 life. It was not a specifically difficult fight, but my damage was rather lackluster so far.
Poor fishwife, it was love that did this to you.
So after killing Mervale, I teleported back to Act 1 to pick up some additional skills. I got Flesh Offering as a reward, which will help our minions out with some extra movement speed, cast speed, and attack speed. And of course, I can now buy the main skill that I will use throughout this run, Absolution. So after picking up Absolution, I did some rearrangements to the skills. Now, you don't need to use Holy Flame Totem from here on out. However, I used it a little bit throughout Act 2 for some added damage, and to let it act as a decoy totem and tank some of the damage. I finished Act 1 at level 15, and this was my leveling tree at the time. So for Act 2, I went straight for the bandits, of course, killing all of them for that juicy 2 extra skill points.
Five minutes later.
After that, I went back to Act 1 to pick up added lightning damage and linked it to my Absolution. After killing Alira, I picked up the Control Destruction support and started leveling it, waiting for a 4-link to drop so I could put it in with my Absolution skill. After that, Fidelitas was next. After Fidelitas, I picked up Desecrate. Now remember to not level up Desecrate. We can use it at level 1, and that is more than enough. By leveling it up, we would just increase the dexterity needed, and we don't need that. Holy! Okay, a +1 lightning skills? Okay. This is a good ass wand. This will carry us throughout the early acts. Now, after getting that juicy wand, I went straight ahead to kill the Vaal Oversoul and finish up Act 2. After killing Vaal Oversoul, I went back and picked up Summon Skitterbots for that free chill and shock on enemies. So to summarize the skills that we have now, for the auras I use Vitality and Summon Skitterbots. For the skills, Absolution, added lightning damage and Summon Phantasm. We have Raise Zombies, Flesh Offering, and for utility, Flame Dash. I finished up Act 2 at level 25 and with the following passive skill tree. Now in Act 3, after killing Tolman, I looted some gloves with a 4-link to give me a little more damage boost. So to Absolution, I linked in Controlled Destruction. After killing Piety, I also picked up Raise Spectre as the reward from Maramoa. While there's not a lot of choice early on when it comes to Spectres, one of the good utility Spectres can be found in Act 2 in the Old Fields, just east of the town, Carnage Chieftain, which will give us and our minion Frenzy charges. Now they have been nerfed, but they're still pretty good. So I also picked up Convocation as well. I went and finished the library quest so that I would get more access to several skill gems, and here I bought physical to lightning damage. After that, I went and killed Dominus.
No one will cry for you, Dominus. Not a soul.
And then did the Trial of Ascendancy.
Those promises you must navigate. The trap of tyranny is inescapable. And rise, embrace, for this is the ending that we all deserve.
And put the skills into Mindless Aggression for the extra movement speed, damage and cast speed for my minions. I ended Act 3 at level 34 and the following passive skill tree. So to summarize the skills that we have till now is Absolution, Summon Phantasm, Physical to Lightning support, Control Destruction support as our main damage. We have Feeding Frenzy to raise Zombie, Raise Spectre to Elemental Army support, Flame Dash to Arcane Surge support, Convocation, Desecrate and Vitality, and Summon Scarabots, and Flesh Offering as well. Now for Act 4, there is nothing special when it comes to new skill gems. I just continued with the skill gems I had at hand. When I started Act 4, I got a lucky humility drop. So maybe we have to farm out a tabula rasa. I managed to loot a new 4-link, so now I could put Raise Spectre, Raise Zombies, Feeding Frenzy and Elemental Army together. I went and killed Malachi.
I have been expecting you, witch. You and I, do I need to tuck you in? So in love with death.
Too much clutter.
Still.
Picked up Summon Stone Golem for that extra life regen. And I also went back and picked up Wrath for extra lightning damage and Conductivity to reduce lightning resistance on enemies. I ended Act 4 at level 42 with the following passive skill tree.
The world must be cleansed of impurity.
In Act 5, I went to kill Templar Avarius. And from the grind, looted a nice heavy belt. Thereafter, I just did all of the quests that yielded passive skill points and headed straight towards Kitava. Kitava was no trouble at all, and the damage of the build looks pretty decent now. I finished up Act 5 at level 48 with the following passive skill tree. So in Act 6, not a lot happened. I just cleared out the Twilight Strands to get access to all of the skill gems and just plowed on through. Act 7 as well was a breeze. I looted some nice movement speed boots with 25% movement speed as the fractured modifier. I finished up the crew lab.
Strike with fidelity. Destination is more dangerous than the journey, Ascendant.
I took Commander of Darkness as the ascendancy point. And I ended Act 7 at level 59 with the following passive skill tree. Now, unfortunately, the recordings of Act 8 was bugged, so I have no recordings of it, but nothing special here happened. I just plowed on through. So for Act 9, I started by running through the Blood Aqueduct. Holy, another humility? Okay, maybe I have to farm out Tabula Rasa now for that easy 6 league. That can help me out a lot now in the beginning. I had my first meeting with June. I need to farm out the Syndicate a lot probably to get the trigger a socketed spellcraft. That would be really nice to have when we get to mapping. And I ended the act at level 69.
Nice.
With the following passive skill tree. For the last act, Act 10, I farmed out the whole act before going into Merciless Lab. Of course not doing Kitava, so every quest up to Kitava. And then went and did the Merciless Lab.
Strike with fidelity. Tyranny is inescapable.
I grabbed the Bone Barrier to get some defense for myself and my minions. I got some nice boot upgrades, nice Titan Greaves with 25% increased movement speed, good resistances, and good max life. After that, it was only one thing to do.
This is it. It all comes down to this moment to finally put an end to Kitava. Go, Exile. Together we will save humankind.
Kill Kitava and get to endgame.
I shall strike you.
I went into the Kitava fight with 927 armor, well over 100% in all resistances, without chaos resistance of course, and with approximately 3.3k life.
Exile, wake up.
It took me just over 8 hours to level through all of the acts, which for me I think is a decent time. And I also died 0 times. The tutorial is done, mapping is up next.